Okay, hi guys. So today we will try to understand the concept of table. What is a table in a database? Okay, so table is something where we can store data. Okay, as far as database is concerned, table is a space, or you can tell like a storage area where we can store data. So first of all, in order to store data in a table, we have to understand how to create a table. Okay, so before that we have to understand how to create a table. So okay, let's try to understand this from Excel sheet. Suppose I have to create a student database or a student table. So generally in a student table we have the student ID, and then the student name, and suppose branch. Okay, just for simplicity I'm taking this three columns. So maybe like generally the tables which we have seen, it's like this: we have a student ID, student name, and branch. If I'm considering a simple student table, and maybe let's try to insert some data into this, and I have inserted student ID 1 2 3, and the student name is maybe like A B C, and branch is electronics communication, mechanical, and computer science. So this is a perfect example of a table. So this is a table. Okay. Now generally table. So this is an example of table from Excel sheet perspective. So same table you have to create in a database so that you can store data in that, and maybe on further you can do some reporting on top of that. So just try to understand some components of table. So in this table, we have three columns. The first column is student ID, the second column is student name, and the third column is branch. There is no restriction on the number of columns in a table. You can add a number of columns in a table. So as for this example, the student table which I have created, we have three columns. The first column is student ID, second column is student name, and the third column is branch. Okay, so this is all about columns. So if I have to write this, so I can write that columns are a student ID, a student name, and branch. Okay, let me write this. So in that example, we have columns as a student ID, a student name, branch. Okay. Now let's move to this again. So this is the uh, one component of a table, that is columns. Okay. Now let's move to the next part. You can say this record. This is the first record. The student ID 1, the student name A, branch is A. This is the first record. This is also known as row. This is the first row of this table. Now, this is the second record. Student ID 2, student name B, branch mechanical. This is the second record. And similarly, this is the third record. So, these horizontal rows are known as records, and the vertical one are known as columns. Okay. So, just to understand this, horizontal rows are known as records, and vertical are known as columns. Okay, so this is these are the two very common component of a table: rows, columns, and records or rows. So in this table we have three columns: a student ID, a student name, and branch, and we have three records. This is the first record, this is second record, and this is the third record. Now in any table there is no limitation on the number of columns. You can create a number of columns, you can create a number of records. Okay, so this is all about a manual thing. I have shown you this from Excel perspective. Now let's try to understand this from database perspective, that if you have to create a table, how you can create a table in a database. Let's try to understand the syntax of that. So before that, you have to write create. Okay, just a minute. I will take an example from this. I'm taking this example because in the session we have discussed about this. Okay, so let's try to create a table. Create. So first of all, you have to write create. Create is a reserved keyword of SQL. Moment you will write create, a SQL engine will understand that the user wants to create something. And then after that, you have to mention table. Then the SQL engine will understand that the user wants to create a table. So this create and table are known as reserved keywords. Again, that's why this is coming in blue color. So whenever you're working on any notepad, so just open that in Notepad++ and save it in extension .sql. You can see like I mentioned it training one .sql. So all those in blue colors will be like a reserved keywords of SQL. So create table. Now the name. What should be the name of the table which you want to create? You can give any name. There's no restriction. But the only rule is the name of your table must not be same as the reserved keyword. Okay, that should be different from the reserved keyword. So I'm trying to create a table a student, and that's why I've written create table a student. After that, you have to open a bracket and then you have to close the bracket and semicolon. So this is the very basic structure whenever you want to create a table in a database. Create table and this is student. I have written student because I want to create a table with name is student. If you want to create with some other name, you can write that in here. But the only rule is this name must not be same as the reserved keywords. It means I cannot create a table with the name create. I cannot create a table with the name table. Okay. No, in this brackets, you have to mention the columns which you want to add in this table. So as you have seen, we have a column, the student ID. So let's add this student ID. And second column is the student name. So let's add this student name as well here. And the third column is branch. So let's add this branch in this table. So now, so far we have created a table student. And in this table, I have added three columns. First column is the student ID, second column is student name, third column is branch. Maybe if you want to add some more columns, just keep comma and then you can add. Maybe like if you want to add marks as well, you can write marks, anything. Okay, so for simplicity, I will keep only three columns as of now. Now, after this, there is a concept of data type. We will discuss the brief about data type maybe in the next session. Okay, so student ID, I'm keeping this as an integer. So you have to mention the data type, like what is the data type? It means what values you want here to insert. If it is something number, then you have to mention it as integer. Now, a student name for a student name, taking the data type as varchar2 and then you have to mention the size. It means how many characters. If I mention 20 here, it means this student name can maximum it can store 20 characters of name. Okay, we'll discuss further on this in a point of time. Similarly, varchar2 I'm using for branch as well, and maybe I will keep this as a 10. Okay, so like this, now if you run this, so then in that case a table will be created. So let's run this in that SQL plus. Okay, just a minute. Okay, this is already present, so I have to drop this table and I have to try again. Student, yeah, table drop. Now let's try to create table again. Okay, fine. So now I have executed, if you see on the screen, I have pasted this piece of code, SQL statement, which we have created right now. And I've executed this on SQL Plus. So I'm getting message from the SQL engine that table has been created. It means the SQL engine has created a table with the name is student, and it has added these three columns, the student ID, the student name, and branch. Okay. Now, if you want to validate whether the table has been created or not, then you have a command DESC, which stands for describe. So you write DESC and the table name. We have created table student, so just write DESC student. So whenever you write DESC and the table name, in our case, the table name was a student, and that's why I've written DESC student, this table name, semicolon, and enter. So once you will enter this, so it will show you the structure of this table. So in this table, I have created the first column as student ID. So stating the first column is student ID, Second column is student name. So that's why second column is student name is coming here. And the third one is branch, and the branch is coming here. And apart from this, it has also mentioned the data type. You might be thinking that I have mentioned here integer and why number 38 is coming. So this is the implicit function of Oracle, in that it becomes number data type. It accepts number data. Okay, we will discuss further on this. So don't bother about these types. So guys, like this way, whenever you want to create any table, you can create a table. This is the syntax for that, and you can add a number of columns on that. Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot. Bye.